Now here's a video I've been wanting to make for a long, long time. Cachaça. Cachaça is really, really, really cool. Brazil makes quite a lot of rum of different kinds. Rum in the sense of cane-based spirits. Brazil makes a ton of sugar. Tons of sugar. Like they supply something like 50% of the world's sugar, if that gives you some idea of just how much cane they've got down there. So they make a lot of rum, and the most famous of the rum categories they make is cachaça. So cachaça is interesting for many, many different reasons, but the big one is that it's to some extent an entirely different tradition of sugarcane-based rum. So most of the time when you have a cane juice-based rum, like in Martinique, like in Haiti, it's because for some reason the people growing cane there couldn't sell sugar onto the international market. In the case of Haiti, obviously you have the revolution, keeping them from, and racism, and just the horribleness of European colonialism, keeping them from participating in the sugar market. So what do you do with all that extra cane juice? You make booze out of it. Kind of the same thing happening in Martinique much later on. You had the sugar beet supplying adequate sugar to mainland Europe, particularly France. What do the French colonies do with all the cane they got lying around? You make booze out of it. That's a normal way of doing it. With Portugal and the Portuguese colonies, there's a tradition of just screw everything, just make your cane juice directly into rum for the fun of it. Starting in Madeira very, very early, like we're talking 15th century here. Madeira, kind of the original European supplier of sugar before colonialism, or global colonialism at least. And then after landing in the New World, you had Portugal sort of transferring all of that to Brazil. So this is kind of the descendant of that tradition, just of making cane juice based rum, not only because you can't sell your sugar for some reason. They can sell their sugar just fine. You make it because it's fun and it's delicious. So I kind of admire that. The reason why I'm doing this video now is because I found this little gem. Well, let me take a step back. The problem with cachaça and why I haven't really done a lot of videos on it is because a lot of the cachaça out there is just not presented very well. Almost everything. Okay, so legally you cannot sell something as cachaça above 48% alcohol. This is 48% alcohol, by the way. You can declassify it and sell a little bit stronger than that, but I haven't. Even in overseas stores, I haven't really seen that. And most of what comes to the U.S. in particular is just bottled at 40%. There's some aged ones bottled at 43, but those really haven't excited me too much either. I did make a stab at cachaça, I think last year when I bought. This is a single barrel Novo Fogo. I do like the unaged Novo Fogo right just fine. It's nice. But man, it's at 40% and needs to be higher. This was at 46.6. It's a store pick for off-premise and Duck Inn. But this was a disappointment too. I found it just kind of a little middle of the road. And it just felt like a category that had so much potential. But, everything... You open up a bottle of cachaça and it smells wonderful. It really does. But then on the palate, the 40% just starts to let down the whole proceedings. It feels thin. It feels bitter. Brittle, I'm sorry. And the kind of brittleness makes it come across as a little bit bitter. That's fine if you're just making caipirinhas, but, for the purposes of stuff on this channel, I want something that steps up a little bit. This steps up. This is Magnífica de Faria, Bica do Alembique, which roughly translates to tapped from the alembic, so roughly straight from the still. Now this is bottled at a very exact 48% alcohol by volume, so I doubt it is exactly straight from the still. I imagine there's a little bit of adjusting going on, but it's still the strongest bottling of cachaça I have seen, at least available to me. What to say about this? So, yeah, this is the Magnífica de Faria folks have been around for a long time. They are based in, where is this? Vassouras, which is a area just a little ways north of Rio de Janeiro. And this is a little bit special. They're still set up as a little bit special. You can distill cachaça in a whole number of different ways. They've got a triple distilled setup, so sort of triple alembic still. And they have done the work of presenting this little gem. It's a half bottle, but it's not very expensive actually. This is competitive with rum agricoles. Yeah, it's a nice little value. Well, assuming it's good, and we'll try it in a second. First thing I will complain about though is the top. It has a screw cap, but it has one of the worst screw caps I've ever encountered. You will have to break out the jaws of life if you want to open this, if not one of those sort of rubber grabby things. I would not try to open this with your raw hands unless you want to get your hand all cut up and bloody and gross. So yeah, that's one thing they can improve in the future. Fix your top, y'all. Okay. But on the other hand, what is inside this thing? So again, we're talking triple pot distilled cane juice, good specs, 48%. No idea when this lot was distilled. I'm guessing, probably 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. What is in the bottle is very nice indeed. Here we go. On the nose. Okay, so like artisanal pickles is the first note I get. I mean, so it's on the aromatics where cachaça really has to shine. That's like it's where it's strong. So it needs to come through here, and this one absolutely comes through. And what I'm getting is just like those, like someone in your hometown is making these amazing jars of pickles, and they cost way too much at your store, but you buy them because they're awesome. And that's exactly what this smells like. Like someone put a lot of love into these pickles. Beyond that, there's some floral stuff. There's some dried flowers, some seawater, fennel, so some classic rummy notes. Green tomatoes, a little bit of a minerality thing, like a sandstone note, subtle sandstone note. This is not that kind of rocky, but it's really dominated by the pickles, and it's not a nose with a ton of details and corners, but it's clean and it's wonderful. All right, but where it has to show up is on the palate, because this is where cachaça tends to leave me behind a little bit. On the palate, here we go. And there you are. This shows up to play. And it's beautifully clean on the palate. And this is what you have to get is like, how do I put this? Clean and thin. Thin on alcohol are not necessarily the same thing. A lot of cachaças are thin. This is clean. If that makes any sense. It's just very nice. So from the nose you're expecting a pickle bomb again on the palate, but it's really not like that. It's much more floral and delicate. Oh, so the rocky element, the sandstone thing, is much stronger here. There's some like pop rocks and Smarties and other kinds of like candied stuff going on. More flowers, the dried flowers. some bitter lime, not like juice or even the zest. This is like more the husks, the hulls, where you've sort of juiced a lime and you have the leftover and you're like, and you throw it in your mouth. It's kind of like that. It's that kind of bitter lime leftovers thing. There's also some lemon lime soda in this. And the finish, okay, so it's flowers hanging over everything. And then a lot of it is just that kind of rocky minerality sandstone thing. It's not a huge, long, lingering, Mahler-esque symphonic finish by any means. Again, this is very clean. That's not the style. But for what it is, it absolutely works, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to give this a squirt of water. We'll come back to it. A squirt and a half, actually. Man, I mean, you taste something like this and you see the potential, and you see like they gotta be keeping the good stuff behind in Brazil, right? I mean, this is made for the European market, and it's really nice because I think like with the strength, they're starting to go for the throat of the agricoles and stuff over there. But I still get the sense that they could be pushing this further. They could be doing longer fermentations, stuff like that. But for what it is, I mean, lots going on here. I will take a moment while I'm waiting for this to kind of settle down with its water to thank my new patrons. I started a Patreon, like maybe the start of the month really, and already have like, as I record this, like 15 people signed up, which I was not expecting, and it's a little bit shocking. I was expecting, a handful of people to kick in, but like there's a crowd, and that's very humbling and surprising and wonderful. And every little bit helps, and there are quite a lot of little bits kind of adding up to a big bit right now. So that is very much appreciated. I will not make a habit of calling out my patrons. I'm gonna thank them of the different spirits level guys at the bottom of this, at the bottom of these videos. But I'm mainly gonna try to keep it to booze talk because I'm supposing that's what you come here for. All right, let's go back to this. Now it's had a little bit of water and time to settle down. Oh. So, the mix of aromas is very much the same, but the pickle is still there. But now you got this kind of lime thing. It's really more of it's not like traditional American limes. This is more like key lime. Key lime is starting to come out and challenge the pickles for supremacy a little bit, which I like. The tomatoes are also coming out a little bit more. And the flowers as well. A little bit more floral action happening now. Again, it's a nice nose, and that's kind of what I love about cachaças. And again, it's the palate where they have to show up. Okay, and the reason I add water to these things is not necessarily because I drink everything with water. I usually don't. I add water to things to put these bottles under pressure to see how they react to being shaken up a little bit. And this one reacts well. This one brings out with water better mouthfeel. It's a little bit more peppery. That kind of lemon lime soda thing, the 7-Up aspect comes out a little bit more. It's simple and delicious and perfect. And it absolutely, can go toe-to-toe with some of the better offerings from, agricole rums from the French overseas departments. This is quite nice. I'm not going to go crazy. It's not by any means profound and deep and, you know, all that stuff. This is really purpose-built for sugar and crushed lime. But in that category, this is awesome. I'm going to give this an 83 plus and an absolute recommendation. So this is a peek into what Cachaça can do, and I'm really hoping that more peaks happen in the future, and it maybe finally comes out in its full glory. Incidentally, again, this does not get U.S. distribution yet, so if you are an importer and you're interested in nerdy rums, and you were saddened by the lack of seriousness on the Cachaça shelf, scoop this up. Grab this. I think you will be rewarded for your efforts. Okay, that's what we got. 83 plus out of 100 for the Magnífica de Faria Bica do Alambique Cachaça. Thanks for watching and cheers.